Where does your consciousness go while you sleep? It's a question most people never ask, but the answer might change everything. Because while your body is resting, your consciousness isn't still. It's active, it's moving, and sometimes it's leaving. Every night you go somewhere, you drift into dreams that feel like other lives. You remember faces you've never seen, places you've never visited, and experiences that feel more real than waking life. Where is your consciousness really going? Ancient spiritual traditions believed the soul leaves the body during sleep, traveling through invisible realms, guided by vibration, intention, and emotion. And today, even science is starting to uncover strange patterns. During deep sleep, your brain acts as if it's entering an altered state, similar to deep meditation or even near-death experiences. Some people report shared dreams. Others describe vivid encounters, spiritual messages, or visions that later come true. Are these just dreams? Or are they memories from journeys your conscious mind forgot? There's a secret no one talks about, a nightly ritual you've been part of your whole life without even knowing it. So tonight, when you fall asleep, know this: you're not just resting, you're entering something ancient. And once you understand where your consciousness really goes, you'll never see sleep the same way again.
Every night, without exception, something strange happens to you. You lie down, you close your eyes, and while your body stays in one place, something else, something subtle, starts to move. It's your consciousness. Science tells us that sleep is when the brain rests, processes memories, and recharges. But ancient traditions say otherwise. They claim that during sleep, the soul detaches from the body and travels. They saw sleep not as rest, but as ritual, a journey into other layers of reality. And maybe you've felt that. Maybe you've had a dream so vivid it felt more real than waking life. Or woken up with a feeling you couldn't explain, like you went somewhere but forgot how. That's not just imagination. That's a sign. A sign that while you sleep, your consciousness is moving. Not randomly, but with purpose, guided by your emotional state, your energy, and your intention. But here's what most people don't realize. This happens every night, not just during a lucid dream or a special experience. You go through this process whether you remember it or not. So the real question isn't if your consciousness leaves your body. It's this: where does it go when it does? And what does that say about you?
The detachment begins slowly. As you fall asleep, your body starts to shut down. Muscles relax. Breathing slows. But your consciousness doesn't turn off. It starts to shift. Brainwaves change from waking activity into deeper, slower frequencies. You enter the hypnagogic state, the in-between. It's like a threshold, one foot in the physical, one beyond it. And then something subtle happens. Your awareness begins to unhook from the physical body. It's not dramatic. You don't feel it happening. But every night, your consciousness slips, like mist rising from water. At first, you drift into dreams,
images, fragments, strange emotions. But sometimes, if the conditions are right, you go further. You pass beyond the personal dream world into something much more universal. A place where your thoughts influence the space around you, where your emotional frequency determines what you encounter, where time doesn't behave the way it does here. This isn't a fantasy. It's a process documented by mystics for thousands of years. They called it astral travel or soul flight, a conscious or unconscious journey through layers of non-physical reality. Most people never realize it's happening, but once you become aware of it, everything changes. You start to recognize the signs. You start to remember more. And most importantly, you start to choose where you go. That's when sleep stops being passive and becomes a tool for awakening.
If sleep were just about rest, why do some dreams leave such a powerful impact? Why do we wake up with vivid memories of places we've never visited or faces we've never seen, yet somehow feel connected to? Because during sleep, you're not just generating random brain images. You're accessing something deeper, something real. In altered states like REM sleep, your brain's activity closely resembles deep meditation and in some cases even near-death experiences. Your sense of time changes. Your perception detaches from the physical world, and in those moments you may be entering what many spiritual traditions call the astral plane. This isn't a physical place. It's a level of reality where thought shapes the environment, emotion creates form, and intention acts like gravity. What you feel, you attract. What you believe, you experience. In this space, your consciousness is no longer bound by your body. It can move, explore, learn, but only if you're aware of it. And the more aware you become, the more you begin to recognize the difference between a dream and a journey. One fades, the other leaves a trace. The invisible world you access at night is not just symbolic, it's interactive. And it responds to who you are when you enter it. That's why how you go to sleep matters, because it determines which version of that invisible world you'll enter. If you've ever woken up from a dream and felt like someone was with you, you're not imagining it. Many people report dreams where they meet beings they can't explain, a stranger who gives a message, a glowing figure who says nothing but feels familiar, or even a loved one who passed away. These aren't always dreams. Sometimes they're encounters. During deep sleep, especially in certain vibrational states, your consciousness can access levels of reality that exist beyond the physical. In those levels, you may come across what mystics call guides or mentors or watchers. They don't always speak. Sometimes they simply observe, but their presence leaves an impact, a sense of clarity or a feeling that something important just happened. The most fascinating part is that people often receive knowledge in these dreams, concepts they didn't study, or symbols they later see again, or instructions that only make sense days later. It's as if a part of your mind is being trained while you sleep. And in many esoteric traditions,
That's exactly what they believe, that the soul is invited into spiritual classrooms during sleep, but only when it's ready, vibrationally and energetically. You can't force it, but you can prepare for it. And if you start remembering these encounters more clearly, don't ignore them. They might not be dreams at all. You don't go to the same place every time you sleep. Where your consciousness travels depends on your vibration. And that vibration isn't mystical fluff. It's a real combination of your emotional state, your thoughts, and your intentions, especially right before sleep. Think of it like a frequency. If you're tuned to fear, stress, or guilt, you may enter lower, more chaotic layers of dream reality. But if you fall asleep in peace, gratitude, or purpose, you access clearer, higher dimensions. In ancient Hermetic traditions, this idea was central. As within, so without. Your inner state reflects the world you'll enter. That's why some nights feel dark and confusing, and others feel calm, expansive, or even sacred. It's not random, it's alignment. You've probably had nights where your dreams were full of conflict or tension, maybe after a stressful day or after falling asleep angry. And you've also had those rare nights where your dreams felt like revelations, where you woke up inspired or even healed. That's vibration at work. It's not about perfection, it's about intention. What you feel and focus on before you sleep literally becomes the doorway your consciousness walks through. So ask yourself, what kind of space am I creating each night? Because sleep isn't an escape, it's a mirror.
Have you ever dreamed of someone, then found out they dreamed of you too? It sounds impossible, but there are thousands of accounts from people who've experienced shared dreams. Two people having the same experience in the same place on the same night. And it's not just coincidence. There's something deeper happening, something ancient traditions, shamans, and mystics have spoken about for centuries. A collective field of consciousness. In that field, thoughts and emotions don't stay isolated. They move, they connect, they interact. When you sleep, your consciousness plugs into that field. And in certain states, especially when emotional bonds are strong, you and someone else can access the same dream space. It often happens between close friends, siblings, partners, or even strangers with a strong energetic resonance. The explanation? Consciousness isn't confined to the brain, and the dream world isn't purely personal. It's relational. Modern science calls this the unified field. Spiritual traditions call it the Akashic layer. It's a level where space and time collapse, and what matters most is frequency. In that space, your thoughts have weight, your emotions send signals, and your connections with others become visible. This is why sometimes you wake up feeling deeply connected to someone even if you haven't spoken in years. You might have met them, not here, but there.
Some dreams feel like memories, but not of the past, of something that hasn't happened yet. You wake up with images in your mind, a place you've never been, a person you've never met, a situation that doesn't exist yet. Then days or weeks later, it happens just like the dream. This isn't fantasy. It's called precognitive dreaming, and it's more common than most people realize. Some people have predicted conversations, meetings, accidents, even global events before they occurred. So, what's happening? During sleep, your consciousness steps out of the limits of linear time. In waking life, time moves in a straight line. But in altered states like REM sleep or deep meditative dreaming, time becomes more fluid. In those states, your soul can access timelines that haven't fully unfolded yet, like glimpsing a ripple before it becomes a wave. This isn't just spiritual theory. Even modern physicists have proposed that time isn't fixed. The future can influence the past at the quantum level. And if that's true on the smallest scale, why not through consciousness? Your subconscious may be more connected to the future than you think. It's constantly scanning patterns, vibrations, and potential outcomes. Dreams become a language, not just to process the past, but to preview what's ahead. But here's the key. Not all dreams are precognitive. The ones that are tend to feel more vivid, emotional, and leave a mark that doesn't fade. If that happens to you, don't dismiss it. It might be your soul remembering what your body hasn't lived yet.
When something in your dream matches something in your life, you might call it a coincidence, but in spiritual traditions, it has another name: synchronicity. Synchronicities are signs, moments when inner experience connects with outer reality in a way that's too precise to ignore. You dream of an animal, then see it the next day. You hear a specific phrase in sleep, then someone says it hours later. You wake with a strange symbol in your mind, and then it shows up on a book, a shirt, or a street sign. These are not random. They're signals. Your soul reaching through the dream world to help you see what matters. Carl Jung believed dreams were filled with archetypes, universal symbols that carry meaning across time and culture. The alchemists believed the same. To them, everything was a symbol. Fire, gold, the serpent, the mirror. Each one carried a message from the invisible into the visible. When you sleep, you enter a symbolic realm. And when your waking life reflects what you saw in that realm, it's not just interesting, it's a conversation. The question is, are you listening? Keeping a dream journal can help. Writing things down, even fragments, strengthens the connection between your conscious mind and your deeper self. Because the more you track these patterns, the more they appear. Your dreams are always speaking to you, sometimes loudly, sometimes in symbols. And when the outer world begins to echo them, you'll know you're on the right path. No one enjoys nightmares. They leave you shaken, anxious, sometimes afraid to go back to sleep. But what if nightmares aren't punishments? They're messages. From a spiritual perspective, nightmares often reveal what's unresolved within you. They're emotional echoes surfacing in symbolic form. You might dream of being chased, not by a monster, but by a fear you haven't faced. You might fall, drown, or get stuck in endless loops.
All of it may reflect how you feel in waking life, trapped, overwhelmed, or avoiding something important. In esoteric traditions, nightmares are seen as confrontations with the shadow self. Parts of you you've rejected or ignored, now showing up in the one place where your defenses are down. And here's the interesting part. Facing those nightmares consciously, especially in lucid dreams, can change everything. Some people train themselves to realize they're dreaming, even in terrifying moments. Instead of running from the monster, they turn to face it. And when they do, it often transforms into something familiar or disappears completely. Because fear feeds the illusion. Awareness dissolves it. Even nightmares that seem random or chaotic can contain meaning. They might highlight repressed emotions, old trauma, or energetic imbalances. Keeping track of recurring themes can help decode them. What symbols keep appearing? What situations repeat? The more attention you give to understanding your nightmares, the more they shift from chaos to clarity. And what once scared you might become your greatest insight.
Sleep paralysis is one of the most unsettling sleep experiences. You wake up, but you can't move. Your body is frozen. Your mind is alert, and often you feel a strange presence in the room. Some describe it as pressure on the chest. Others say they see shadows, hear whispers, or feel like something is watching. It sounds terrifying, and it often is. But what if sleep paralysis isn't just a glitch in the brain? What if it's a sign you're caught between dimensions? Spiritually, sleep paralysis is seen as a transitional state, where your consciousness returns to the body faster than your body boots back up. You're awake, but still partly in the astral realm. That's why many people feel like they're being watched, because, in a way, they are. Not always by something dark, but by entities, memories, or even your own energetic residue from where you just were. It's a liminal space, and like any threshold, it can be disorienting. But here's what matters. You're not in danger. You're in a moment of extreme sensitivity. What you feel during sleep paralysis often reflects what you carried into sleep. If you went to bed anxious, fearful, or emotionally heavy, your return might echo that same vibration. The key is to stay calm. Focus on your breathing. Start by moving your fingers or toes. Ground yourself gently. Some even use this moment as a portal, a chance to consciously re-enter the astral state. What feels like paralysis might actually be permission.
Most people go through sleep passively. They fall asleep without intention, drift through scattered dreams, and wake up with no memory. But you can change that. You can train your consciousness to navigate the sleep state deliberately. It starts before you even close your eyes. What you think about before sleep sets your trajectory. If your mind is full of stress or distractions, your dreams may reflect that noise. But if you go to sleep with a question, a feeling of gratitude, or a clear desire to learn, you open a very different doorway. One powerful method is pre-sleep suggestion.
You simply give your subconscious a direction. For example, tonight I will remember where I go. I want to meet a guide. Let me receive clarity about this situation. These phrases act like keys. They shape your entry point into the dream world. You can also prepare your space energetically. Turn off distractions. Lower the lights. Avoid negative content before bed. Some people use incense or calming music. Others visualize light surrounding their body. And keep a journal next to your bed. Even if you only remember a fragment, write it down. The more you write, the more you retain. Over time, you'll notice patterns, messages, maybe even recurring places. The dream world responds to awareness. The more conscious you become about the journey, the clearer the path gets. Sleep doesn't have to be random. It can become a nightly practice of connection, insight, and remembrance.
Sleep is more than recovery. It's spiritual training. Many traditions teach that the dream world is not just the place of rest or release, but a dimension where the soul continues its evolution. During the night, when the conscious mind is silent, your deeper self takes over. And in that space, lessons unfold. You may be brought into symbolic challenges, tests of courage, trust, or surrender. You may meet people, some familiar, some unknown, who trigger emotions or reveal truths. You may find yourself in schools, temples, or surreal landscapes that seem both alien and ancient. These aren't meaningless. They're rehearsals. Your soul preparing for moments that haven't happened yet. Training for what's coming in your waking life, or integrating what you have refused to face. And sometimes dreams offer healing, not metaphorical healing, real emotional release. You wake up lighter, clearer, different. It's no wonder that some of history's greatest thinkers, inventors, and artists received ideas in dreams. Because sleep opens doors that the waking mind keeps shut. But here's the truth. You don't have to wait for dreams to happen to you. You can co-create them. You can shape your sleep space into sacred ground. You can bring intention into the journey. And you can treat each night not as an escape from life, but as a return to a higher version of yourself. Because while your body sleeps, your soul never stops growing.
Now you know. You're never just sleeping. You're traveling. You're remembering. You're training in realms most people never talk about. So tonight, when you close your eyes, do it with intention. Tell yourself, I'm ready to remember where I go, and pay attention to what happens. Because the moment you start treating sleep as sacred, the universe will respond. And you'll begin to realize that what you've been calling dreams were never just dreams at all. They were glimpses into the deeper truth of who you are. Have you ever experienced something during sleep you couldn't explain? A moment that felt too real, too specific, or too powerful to ignore? Share it in the comments. Your story might help someone else unlock their own. And if you want us to go deeper into astral schools, shared dreaming, or the meaning of sleep paralysis, let us know below. We'll bring it to light.